Thank you for joining us. This is Health Your Own Way podcast, and I am your host, Akins. Welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking to John. He's a type 2 diabetic and is a certified nutrition specialist. One of the reasons why I actually asked John to join us today is he has an amazing story. Apparently, this man used to be 405 pounds. I don't believe him, but I see it. He's going to tell us how he came back from 405. So, John, honestly, sincere pleasure having you on this podcast. And tell us your story, sir.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I know it doesn't look like it now, but I did indeed. Back in 2007, I weighed 405 pounds. And it was kind of funny because I didn't realize it. I had no clue. I wasn't weighing myself. And I was just your normal, average, everyday guy. Went to work 50, 60 hours a week. Had a wife, kids, came home, spent time with the kids, playing in the yard and stuff, normal social life. Everything was normal in my eyes. But one day I got in a truck to go to work and was doing my job, and suddenly life slapped me upside the head, and next thing I know, I'm finding out that I'm morbidly obese and I'm a type 2 diabetic and I need to lose weight.
So I know people say that, okay, I know everybody's busy. I know everybody, you just live your life and then you wake up and you don't really check yourself. But is it fair to say that after a while, as your clothes get tighter and tighter, at one point you realize you're gaining the weight?
Oh, yeah. See, the thing is, and especially with a situation like type 2 diabetes, you don't feel different. You don't feel sick. And that's what makes it very, very dangerous. I would typically, on any given day, my typical lunch was a large pizza, 2 Big Macs, and a large vanilla milkshake. That's what I ate every day for lunch. And
hold on, sorry, John. That you can't just say that. Just not like. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yep. I would literally eat, and I worked as a mechanic, and I literally had a pizza shop right next door. So I would call them and order my pizza. I would go 2 blocks down the road to the McDonald's, get 2 Big Macs and a large vanilla milkshake. I'd come back, I'd go through the drive-thru of the pizza place, pick up my pizza, and then I would go park back at work, and I would sit in my truck, and I would eat all this stuff. And then I'd pass out for about 20 minutes into a carb coma, and then I would get up and go back to work, and that was my daily routine. And like I said, I didn't feel like anything was wrong. But then, on this one particular day, I went back to work and I was doing an alignment on a vehicle. And to do that, you have the car on a rack and you actually have to lay down underneath of it to make the adjustments. And my boss came back after about an hour because he's like, something's not right. He shouldn't be back there that long. And they found me unconscious underneath the vehicle. I had gone into a diabetic coma. My blood sugar was well over 500. I woke up 7 to 8 hours later, and I had a doctor saying, look, this is the deal. You are a sick man, and if you don't change what you're doing, you're going to be dead in a year. And I was like, okay. Message received, you don't have to tell me twice. So then the journey began.
Okay, let's step back. I know you went through a traumatic situation to realize that, you had to make a change. And not to be honest, and I want to commend you, a lot of people go through, well, not specific what you go through, but they've gone through a situation that says click, but they don't make the change. Some don't make the change. They try and get it, and it's difficult. For you, how were you able to make that change? I know you said, okay, but how?
Yeah, it was a process. Back in 2007, the internet was not full of all the resources that it is now, first and foremost. So I spent a lot of time in a library reading books, magazine articles, and things like that. Now, one of the things, typically when somebody gets diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, one of the first things they do is they go see a doctor. And I did the same thing. I went to see my general practitioner first, which was an absolute total waste of time. So from there, I went to see an endocrinologist, which is a doctor that specializes in the metabolism of the body. And of course, with diabetes being a metabolic condition, that was who I should go see. And the doctor was okay. He gave me a fair amount of information, but what I learned in the hour that I spent with his dietitian changed my life. I started to realize what the food that we put in our body actually does within the body. And when that happened, I was like, okay, well, carbohydrates do this, fats do this, protein do this. So let me take this knowledge, expand on it, learn from it, and make some changes in my life because, my mother suffered from diabetes, and I eventually lost her because of it. And during the time that I was diagnosed, she'd already lost a leg. She'd gone blind in one eye, and she was starting dialysis. And I was like, there is absolutely no way that I'm going to go out like that. I'm going to do something to change this. So, and I figured that education was the best avenue, because the more I knew about what was going on within my body, the more I had the ability to control it.
I like what you say, because people don't, and when you say things like that, I find that it makes sense. It's very simple. However, it's very difficult for some people to understand and apply. When I say that, is because, for me, my own, I didn't wake up learning how to eat properly. It took time. It took practice, but I want to educate myself, because once you understand what goes in your body, how it affects you, you see the foods and you're just like, no, thank you. Like, people don't read their ingredients. They don't read the labels, stuff like that. And the fact that you said, educate yourself, understand how the food affects you, and then make those changes. And that's a lifestyle change. But people just choose to do the fast diets, the fast ways, or the lack of better choice, quick ways to resolve their problems, but they've never actually mentally changed. Is that fair to say?
Yep, absolutely. And here's the worst part about it all. Doctors, what doctors do when you go to them with a problem like this is they prescribe medicine. That's what they do. When someone presents with an A1C higher than 6.1, and for those that don't know,
hold on, what is A1C? Sorry, John, I keep seeing this in a commercial.
No, that's fine.
Every time. A1C. What is A1C?
What a hemoglobin A1C test does, it measures certain things within the blood, certain markers and things, that what they can do is they can actually determine what the average of your blood sugar levels were for a 90-day period. Okay. So whereas if you just do a finger stick and you do a blood glucose test, your blood sugar, 80 to 120 is the normal range. And what that means is within either when you get up in the morning or within 2 hours after you've eaten a meal, your blood sugar should be back in that range. If it isn't, there's a problem. Something's going on. It could be that you're eating too many carbohydrates. It could be that your cells are starting to resist the insulin, which is what actually helps the body process all this glucose and sugar. So, but anyway, so if someone presents with an A1C of, I think now it's 6.2, if they show up with a 6.2 or higher, doctors have a protocol that they run down. Okay, well, if they're this age and they have this A1C and they have this factor and this factor, then we're automatically supposed to give them this medicine, this medicine, this medicine, this medicine. Okay. When I was diagnosed with a type 2 diabetic, as a type 2 diabetic, they put me on blood pressure medicine, and I have never, I'm 54 years old, I have never had my blood pressure taken where it was high, ever. It's always been in the normal range. But they put me on blood pressure medicine anyway. I did not have high cholesterol, but they put me on a statin to control cholesterol anyway.
I gotta fix my face. Sorry. Go talk. I'm just listening to you and I'm just like, this makes no sense. How does this make sense?
None of it makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. They put me on the standard metformin. They give everybody metformin right off the get-go, But the problem is doctors just don't, I don't know if they don't understand or if they're just programmed to follow these protocols with people, because now I know for a fact that most, not all, but most doctors don't get any more than 6 to 8 hours of nutrition training in med school. So they don't know the nuts and bolts, the ins and outs of what all this nutrition does in the body. So they don't attack this from a nutritional standpoint, if that makes sense. They're like, okay, let's throw meds at it. Now, was I on medication medication at one point in time? Absolutely. But I'll tell you what, I was diagnosed in 2007. Within 7 years, I was completely off all medication and have been ever since. Part of that was losing weight. Part of it was also learning how to eat. And then the last component was adding an exercise. And as a matter of fact, I can actually show you like a pictorial representation. 2007, that picture was taken about 2 months before I was diagnosed. 2013, as you can see, I'd already lost a fair amount of weight, but that was the day that I joined a gym for the first time. And then the 2019 picture was at my lowest weight when I finished my cut at 249 pounds. And now I am working towards competing in my first bodybuilding competition.
Which one? Because I compete. Which one do you compete in?
I haven't picked one yet. Probably OCD.
Okay.
I'm actually affiliated with the OCD Mountain State Classic here in West Virginia.
Nice.
I know the promoter very well. She's been a fitness professional for over 30 years. And she brought me in as the resident nutritionist for the competition. So, yeah, it'll probably be an OCB.
It makes
Mountain
sense.
State Classic, actually.
It makes sense because you want to work with people that you trust, and it is. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think, okay, you have to understand, let's step back from me. What you're saying, it seems normal to you, but it's not. So at the age of 54, a lot of men and women just give up. At the age of 30, a lot of men and women just give up. Okay. That should be real. Okay. So I think I commend you because at 54, you basically rebuild your life. At the same time, you were like, okay, I rebuild my life, but what can I do more? How can I challenge myself? How can I take myself to the next step? You didn't just accept the fact that you're going to age and just let it be. So congratulations. Your goals for a lot of people, a lot of men are out there looking at you like, I don't know how you did it, but as John said, educate yourself.
Yeah, it's all. And if you are not there, and let's face facts, there are some people that can't be motivated enough on their own to do that type of education. And sometimes it's just a matter of they also need someone to work with them on their mindset. Mindset is crucial. Most of the clients that I work with, and probably 60% of those are type 2 diabetics, but most of the clients that I work with them more on mindset and why they do the things they do, what the triggers are, and how to interrupt that pattern and move past it, just as much as I do giving them nutrition plans and workout plans, if that makes sense.
It does.
Here's the thing. It's just like doctors giving you medicine. The medicines are going to treat the symptom. If I give somebody a meal plan and tell them to follow it for 12 weeks, okay, that meal plan is like putting a Band-Aid on cancer. As long as they're following it that 12 weeks, everything's good. But if you don't fix the underlying conditions that cause them to be obese anyway, they're just going to go right back to the same thing.
100%. I keep saying that to some of my clients. I'm just saying, like, I can give you a meal plan, but please understand, after the meal plan, you're gonna follow this. But have you made changes to some of this, the way you eat? Have you changed your lifestyle? What have you done differently? What have you learned? And if it's like, some people do need that structure, and some you just like, okay, this is what you want. But others, you just like, they're looking for long-term sustainability. And I think sustainability, as you mentioned, it has to start from the mindset.
Absolutely.
So with that said, if a lot of people are interested in following your journey, finding out where you are, how to find you, John, or even coming to your show, how do they reach out to you?
Well, on like Facebook and Instagram, T2 Nutrition and Wellness. On Twitter, they decided that my name was too long, so they changed it to Wellness T2. You know how Twitter is; they just kind of do their own thing. I have also teamed up with a clinical pharmacist and MD. Her name is Dr. Krista LL. Her and I have teamed up and created a 12-week program to actually help people reverse type 2 diabetes. And it's called, matter of fact, let me throw that up here real quick. It's actually called the Reversal Roadmap. It's a super comprehensive program that will, give them everything that they need to not only finish through this program in 12 weeks, but then they'll be on their own path. They'll have their own GPS. They'll be able to get to that life where they don't have to be on medication. They don't have to control or manage their type 2 diabetes. They can actually get rid of it.
I like that. And before we let you go, is there anything you want to say or I think actually, you know what? I do want to ask one question before I let you go.
Okay.
For anybody who's watching, they're seeing your journey. So what can you tell them to say that, it is possible? Like, if I can do it, you can do it as well. Like, just don't quit. Like, what would you say to them to encourage them to continue?
First and foremost is take the first step, because here's what happens. When you take that first step and you start to see results, it becomes addictive. I can remember as I was watching the weight come off, and I can remember when I joined the gym and I started, like I went from just doing the machines to getting into free weights and then lifting heavy weight and things like that. As everything progresses, it actually can become an addiction. And it's not a bad addiction, because what you're doing is you're doing things to improve the quality of your life through health and fitness. And it doesn't get any better than that, because, if you want a long life, if you want to be around to see your kids grow up and your grandkids and all that type of stuff, it takes work just like anything else. You've got to put in the work. And if you don't have the tools to do it on your own, reach out to somebody to help you. Because let me tell you, investing in yourself, there's no better investment and there's no better return on it.
Oh, I like that. I really do. I want to say thank you for having this conversation with me. Sincere pleasure. And I wish you all the best in your competition. We're glad to have you join us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share with anyone that needs to be empowered and inspired. And don't forget to join us next week for the next episode of Health Your Way Podcast. Have a good day, you guys.